I was walking through this flea market in France, in the south of France, and I came across this little corner of a bunch of bottles. And I was looking at two bottles side by side. From the distance, I said, what the heck are those beautiful bottles? As I got closer and closer, turned out to be these two bottles. I asked for the price. He said 60 euros for both, but I'll give it to you for 50. I said, here you go, take my money. I'm going to take these back home with me. And that's what happened. These are Heritage, Guerlain's Heritage original bottles. They don't look like this anymore. They look completely different now. And these are collectible, and I'm so happy I got them. Well, in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about these two fragrances. It's the same fragrance, but one of them is a factice. One of them is the original fragrance, and I'll tell you what's going on with that fragrance. But I've got a haul video for you of classic and discontinued or vintage fragrances. Find out about them coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. Yesterday I'm talking about a fragrance haul, more of a vintage, classic, discontinued fragrances. And I know some of you really enjoy these kind of fragrances. And what do you think about these bottles? Look at how gorgeous they are. This stuff is not the real thing. This is a factice. And basically what a factice is, those large bottles that you would see in a department store filled with vinegar. So there's no real essence in there. This one, to me, when I smell it, smells like kind of like light vinegar, something weird like that. So it's just made to look like there's the real juice in it, but this actually is basically a factice. But this is not a cheap factice. This is sturdy stuff. This is amazing stuff. I'm so happy for this, because I've asked people to guess how much I paid for these two bottles, and sometimes people say 100, 200. So 50 euros was, I think, pretty fair for discontinued fragrance. They don't make these bottles anymore, and for a collector like me, man, that's beautiful. So in the bottle that has the actual real juice, look at the juice has turned to a really dark molassesy color. The smell has turned. I didn't buy these bottles for the actual fragrance. I bought them for the actual bottles, because Heritage doesn't come in this bottle anymore. This bottle is just gorgeous. The way the glass is cut, man, it's just gorgeous. You could see it better in the factice bottle. But sometimes factice bottles are cheaply made and they break pretty fast. This stuff is so strong and sturdy. And I packed this thing I packed it around like clothes. So what I do is when I'm bringing back fragrances from Europe, most of them have boxes. They come in boxes, you know, like this. But if it's anything like this, all your clothes, your dirty clothes, wrap it up, wrap it, totally wrap it and store it with all the cushioning of the the clothes, all those bottles cushioned. With the boxes, I don't do any wrapping unless they're fragile, but these had to be wrapped perfectly. But these are Heritage. Again, Guerlain's Heritage doesn't come like this anymore. And you guys saw the current version of the Heritage bottles. They're just square like L'Homme Ideal. So all the Guerlain men's fragrances come in bottles like that. And personally, if you caught my top 20 men's fragrances of 2023 video, I mentioned that there's going to be 3 intense Parfum or elixir or extrait versions of Guerlain fragrances. I'm hoping one of them is going to be Heritage. I have a feeling not, because I don't think Heritage is the most popular. It could be Habit Rouge and Vetiver, maybe something from the L'Homme Ideal series. But I'm really hoping it's one of the Heritages, because I love Heritage. But I have a feeling it might be Habit Rouge, although they came out with the Rouge Privé. All right, so the rest of the fragrances I'm going to talk to you about here and there. I bought a bunch of fragrances from Dubai when I was in Dubai. Vintage store I ran into or discovered, thanks to a friend. If you're watching, you know who you are. And I bought some really great stuff. And I mean, I could have spent hours in this store and bought probably thousands of dollars worth of things, but I was thinking to myself, how am I going to bring all of this back? So I didn't do that. So basically I spent around 1,000 dirham, which turned out to be around $300. And I'll tell you all the fragrances I brought back for that price point. So first of which, I think the one that I'm really impressed with as far as the vintage fragrances I brought back. And I don't even know how vintage this is, but man, it smells so freaking good. So freaking good. This is Jean-Louis Scherrer Eau de Toilette. It is a green balm, chypre. And it's got this fuzzy animalic muskiness, but the right amount, not over the top and not synthetic. It smells like the real stuff. And man, this store in Dubai had so many of these bottles. I wish I bought at least 4 of them, maybe 5. I don't have notes written down to read to you guys. I'm just going to go ahead and guess here. But I've worn this a couple times. As you can see how much I've worn. Not too much. But it smells fantastic. And this is a feminine targeted release. But to me, it smells a bit like Devon. Aramis Devon, if you guys know. And the woman's counterpart of that, or equivalent of that, I should say, is Alliage by Estee Lauder. It's kind of in that ballpark. It's a green chypre. But man, this smells so good. So, so good. Let me know if you're a fan of this fragrance. I think it's to die for. And I wish, like I said, I wish I bought more of these because they weren't that expensive. Now, I'm going to tell you how many I brought back for around $300, the 1,000 dirhams in Dubai. But yeah. So that is Jean-Louis Scherrer. Anybody familiar with this brand, though? This is the first ever fragrance I bought from this brand. Never bought anything else. And I want to dig into the brand further. So let me tell you this one. So this is a fragrance I've been wanting to get my hands on. MARBERT Man Classic from Germany. And I don't know how vintage this is. I don't think this is a very vintage fragrance. Like this might be a current formulation or maybe within the last 10 years. But this stuff smells great too. This is like an old school men's fragrance. You know, kind of like a fougere. Maybe barbershop-y. Maybe a chypre. Let me just double check again. No, it's more of a fougere. Totally lavendery. But man, it smells good. It smells so freaking good. And I don't think this is the oldest version of it. But whatever version this is, it smells superb. Like the lavender is in your face. Strong. It's kind of like taking maybe something like Fougère Royale and marrying it with Caron's Pour un Homme de Caron. Because the lavender in here smells more like Caron Pour un Homme de Caron, but in the background I got whatever I'm getting in Fougère Royale in here. It's amazing. Amazing. Those of you that live in Germany, do you guys know MARBERT Man? It's a German brand. As you can see, MARBERT Man Germany right there. This stuff is fantastic, and once again, I wish I knew how good this was because this wasn't open. I wish I brought back more. I just need to take a trip to Dubai just for vintage perfumes because that stuff is amazing. Really, really amazing. But in another store, this is in addition to the $300 I spent. In another store, I saw another one, MARBERT Man Pure, and I didn't really know what this was all about. This one turned out to be a dud, sadly, but it's nice to have here. This one to me seems a bit more classic with the bottle design, but to me this doesn't smell that good. This is MARBERT Man Pure. This to me smells like a modern men's fragrance, maybe modern to the late 90s, early 2000s. That's the kind of fragrance this smells like to me. It's not bad, it's not like a wow fragrance, not like the original MARBERT Man Classic. It's a bit like a creamy fougere. I feel like there's aromatics in there, like herbs, but there's a creamy sandalwoody something or rather in there. I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad, but it's not amazing like MARBERT Man. This was an additional, I can't remember the amount I paid for this, not too much. That's not part of the $300 I spent. So here's a fragrance I wore, I believe it was in the early 2000s. Fendi Life Essence. Anybody remember this one? And this bottle and another fragrance kind of reminds me of the same fragrance for some reason. But I loved this fragrance in the early 90s. And this fragrance came and went. And Fendi doesn't really do much in the way of fragrances anymore. I think there might be 1 or 2 feminine fragrances that are still at the discounters. But there's no men's fragrances. And Fendi's under LVMH, Dior, Givenchy, and brands like that. Kenzo. So I wonder, Celine, I wonder why they're not doing any fragrances. But I remember this being kind of a lemony, woody, soft woods and like a sweet lemon, which is what I'm getting. But I feel like it's not at its best condition. But whatever I'm smelling here, it's reminding me of what I remember wearing. I remember it having a bit of a powdery edge. And I'm also remembering a little bit of it reminding me of Versace's baby blue jeans. But that fragrance is a lot more powdery and a lot more lemony. This is more of a softer with woods and some aromatics thrown in. Still, it smells great. I really love that. And having this bottle here is amazing because kind of, you know, bringing back memories of fragrances I wore back in the old days. Here's one, Oscar for Men. And this one is another fragrance that was sort of similar to Fendi Life Essence, but not quite. And here's the bottle. So, anybody remember this one? I remember this being fresh as well. And I think to me they are kind of similar. This one has kind of a sweet lemony, you know, styling to it. And it has the woods and some aromatics thrown in. I don't know the exact notes in these, but they're interchangeable. I feel like they have a similar kind of a style and a reminder of one another. They might have come out around the same time, or I could be completely wrong. For some reason, I'm thinking this might be the late 80s. I'm sorry, sometime in the 90s. Or the early 2000s. Fendi, I think, came out in the early 2000s. My calendar might be off, but a great scent right there. So we've got a few other fragrances. This one's LATTY from Balenciaga. Do you guys know this one? I didn't buy this for the perfume inside. I bought it for the bottle. And absolutely love this gorgeous bottle. Look at that. And I can still smell the fragrance. Totally can. But that's another brand that doesn't really do a lot of fragrances. They're part of the group with Gucci and YSL. In fact, I don't think they do any fragrances now. But that is a gorgeous bottle. Really love the box as well. There's a price on it, $120. It's a 30 ml made in France. And here's another Balenciaga. This one's called Prelude. These are kind of dab bottles, so I'm not really going to smell them. But the LATTY kind of still had some essence, but it seemed like it wasn't its most perfect. I'm going to do this with this one. Yeah, there's some perfume there. But I feel like what happens with perfumes when they get old, everything blends too much together and you're not really smelling it in a perfume mode or perfume way, I should say. It smells more like it's been blended too much. Like, you know, when you mix a soup together and everything blends way too much, I feel like the smells kind of blend too much together and you're smelling something brand new and not like a perfume. So sadly, I'm not smelling much with this. I'd have to get my nose, you know, adjusted to the outside and then come back and try it out. But it's a gorgeous looking bottle, as you can see, which is quite historic. And then we've got this from Missoni. What does Missoni do? Do they do? I think they do fragrances now. I think they're under Coty. This one I think still smells great. Let's go ahead and smell it because it's a sprayer. And I personally did not remember this one. And I bought it because it is such a small bottle and box. So this one I'm not too familiar with too much. But whatever's there smells amazing, actually. Still to this day. So to me, the writing looks 90s. What do you guys think? Is that 80s or 90s? I mean, I could look it up and see. But it smells quite vintage. Maybe it's more 80s, now that I think about it, as far as the smell goes. But late 80s, maybe early 90s, but that's Missoni. And I don't even know if this is for men or women. I think it could be for women. And then here we have Portos. Do you guys know this one? I wish this one was a sprayer, but it's a splash. Man, this store I was at, I don't even know what the heck it was. A friend took me there. I wanted to spend a whole day there. There was just so much good stuff. Ooh, this one smells amazing. Wow. Who knows Portos? This is also part of Balenciaga, I believe. Yes, it is. Oh, wow. That stuff is amazing. A bit honeyed, but I know there's some leather there, some civet I'm smelling. And this is the real, not synthetic civet, the real stuff. Wow, that's good. Portos. And then finally, this is the last of the $300. Salvador Dali. Do you guys know this one? The box is pretty destroyed. And I don't know why I got this one, because I don't really own any Salvador Dali fragrances. And I kind of wanted it. But I was kind of going for smaller boxes, obviously. That's the biggest box I brought back. Let's see. It's a dark juice for sure. Whoa. First smell is a bit off-putting, but there's something there. Ooh. You got to get past that first initial blast. I think there's some stuff, gunk caught up in the sprayer part, and it's kind of gathered there and turned into a different smell. Because this stuff smells amazing. Wow. On its dry down, it's kind of super honeyed and once again, civet. I'm picking up civet. I don't know much about this line, and I'd like to discover it. This says Eau de Toilette pour Homme. But Salvador Dali. There we go. There's a lip. What do you guys think of that? Lip. Anybody know this particular fragrance? Let me know. Put a comment down below. Let's try the newer stuff next. So we've got some newer classics. And I did a little bit of a haul with of purchases from FragranceNet. This is Enrico COVERI pour Homme. So I read an article about this fragrance, and I had to take a, jump at it and get it because I like these classic fragrances. And this one, to me, I feel like even though it's current formulation, it smells pretty classic. The bottle also looks like the bottles for Lalique's fragrances. I can't remember which particular collection. But to me, it smells like a fougere with some licorice. I'm getting major licorice with this one. But more like Black Vines licorice. I'm not sure why. We'll have to put it to use, but maybe there's a bit of a fruitiness in there. Something licoricey, but I like it. I like it. It's not that expensive either. And then two fragrances from Ted Lapidus for the women, for the ladies, I should say. Fou de Elle, this one right here. I only bought this for the bottle, and it has a really nice bottle. It came opened, and I was reading that some people got some fragrances that were not smelling good. For me, I feel like there's nothing wrong with this. It smells kind of fruity, warm, ambery, but also something fresh in there. Like this could be like an amber floral fragrance with a little bit of a fruitiness and also a tea vibe. Maybe some saffron leather thrown in as well. I think this is really, really nice. For the price point, not that expensive. Classic 90s style. And then this is Rumba Passion. The original Rumba was created by Jean-Claude Elena, I believe. And I believe Rumba also was under Balenciaga. And then I think it was moved to Ted Lapidus. Something like that happened. Those of you that know the story, let me know. But Rumba Passion, I don't know yet. I'm not sure about Rumba or Rumba Passion. I have Rumba from a couple of years ago. And this is Rumba Passion. Definitely old school vibes, but not necessarily like 80s. This is more like 90s. Something very floral and sticky ambery under there. I'm not sure this is my favorite, but I know it has fans. I've heard there's fans of this one out there. So that's that one. And then the rest of the fragrances are a bit more modern. Let me show you. I've been wanting a bottle of Absolute Pour Le Soir original and unused, but sadly I can't seem to find it. But I did find Cologne Pour Le Soir unused, and it's one of those decantable bottles, as you can see. I think it is. At least that I have another bottle like this. Maybe not. But Cologne Pour Le Soir is a fresher take on Absolute Pour Le Soir. I don't love it as much as I love Absolute Pour Le Soir, but if you want something fresher, I can smell the resins in there a lot more. And there's this interesting texture that comes in with this version, and it's not as smooth as Absolute Pour Le Soir. But still, for a collector like me, this is Cologne Pour Le Soir. Let me know if you're a fan of Cologne Pour Le Soir. Put a comment down below so I can find out. Last but not least, recently I saw this post on a Mercari, and I've been wanting a bottle of a large decanter bottle from Tom Ford of Vert de Bois, my favorite in the Vert collection. I was very nervous because it was around $300, and I thought, why are they pricing that for so low? And I looked around and said, okay, I'm going to use my American Express. I'm going to make sure I can fight this if it's a fake or something's wrong with it. So I was holding my breath until it came, and I opened it up, and it smells like the original. And I was like, yes, for around $300, one of my favorite Vert fragrances from Tom Ford. Are you guys familiar with it? I have a review of it on the channel going back to 2017 or 2016 when it first came out. This stuff is amazing. I love it. And a friend that works in the industry recently gifted me Vert d'Encens. So these two are my favorites in the Vert collection. There's also Vert Fleur and Vert Bohème, which I don't have. But Vert de Bois and Vert d'Encens. Vert de Bois is more like a forest floor, a mossy forest floor with like ouzo accord apparently. And Vert d'Encens is more like green notes with incense. So both of these were really, really great. Two of my favorites in the Vert collection. In fact, the Vert collection from Tom Ford, I think, is super amazing. Super, super amazing. If you're a fan of green fragrances, try and get your hands on these fragrances. And I'm so grateful that this turned out to be great. Because I was really, really nervous that I was going to get some kind of a fake or something. But thankfully, it didn't turn out to be. So yeah, that's it. Those are the older, classic, vintage, discontinued fragrances. Let me know if you're a fan of any of these fragrances. Let me know what is out there that I should look for. I'm going to be looking at finding vintage fragrances wherever I travel. And so I'm hoping that places I travel, I can find some perfume shops that are selling, you know, fragrances that they have left around. In good condition, of course, and I can find some. Because I'm trying to build this collection out to be like one of the best out there. And so having the vintage classics here when I can have a client come in and smell them and during a sniff session is going to be really fun. But yeah, trying to have as many classic fragrances as I can, because those are the fragrances that really got me into doing what I'm doing here for you guys. And so finding all the classics out there is amazing. So those of you that know my collection and have been watching my channel, you know what I have. If there's something out there that I should seek out and look for, let me know. Put a comment down below so I can find out. But thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video, please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.